zhzmz, zhzmz, zoov. We are seeking for a wealth of being that is beyond sensuality, beyond psychology, beyond emotionality. zhzmz, vbvhgz, zoov. It uses the alternating modes, and it uses the firm. zhzmz, vbvhgz, zoov. We're bringing out something distinct here. We're refining something. We're surrounding ourselves with something. zhzmz, vbvhgz, zoov. The secret of experience is ours to have. zhzmz, vbvhgz, zoov. And we're willing to make the compromise to get there. zhzmz, vbvhgz, zoov. By milk and vine and fruit and flower. zhzmz, vbvhgz, zoov. By wood and treat and familial drink. zhzmz, vbvhgz, zoov. We reflect a further time on the fruits of the celestial cycles as we imbibe. zhzmz, vbvhgz, zoov. Thursday, February 3rd, 2022, at 12:37 p.m. Pacific Time, we reach the cross quarter. The nearest sunset to that, in your location, starts Imbolc. And for that night, we ask the question, what inspires you? And for the day, we ask, what knowledge do you approach? Now, I am not saying that I agree with all the context of some of these things, but the verses to contemplate here, Genesis, and respond to, use magically, however you're going to phrase that. Genesis 18:8, Exodus 23:19, Joshua 5:6, Judges 5:25, Job 10:10 and 21:24, Proverbs 30:33, Song of Solomon 4:11 and 5:12, Isaiah 60:16, Joel 3:18, 1 Corinthians 3:2 and 9:7, Hebrews 5:12 and 13, 1 Peter 2:2. In the Quran we have Surah 2, Ayat 223 to 233, 423, 1666, 31:14, 46:15, 47:15. And it's best, I hear, to put this sort of thing on wood. So we have a slice of a tree or two that can be chosen to put this on. And those pointy hat candle holders, yeah, well, those aren't accurate to any historical artifacts, but some of the historical artifacts actually show like a long-term cycle of the sun or moon or something, and stars, and, you know, actually, or at least record events if they're not something that you can use to say, oh, well, we're here, so soon we're going to be over here. Initiate me by this evocation, ameliorate me in separation. Learn to break down the mental construction. Each sacred energy will be used and not shunned. Sexuality and family are vehicles of discipline. Our work is never done. And of the causal, we have empathy. We are not the same as the rest of humanity. By wooden union, secrecy and openness are not the signs of sincerity. I make my dedication with like a blood mother, without novelty, nor the guilt, shame, and fear of their considerations towards claims of apostasy, disbelief, and blasphemy. We judge independently. That from which there is no escape can hear me. The point is neither materiality nor to be friendly. From dusk of the year, we reach the dawn with integrity. The dew is here with milk and blood for chaos or harmony. The outside world is not our creed, but something to nourish me. Innocency is not in being naive of the predatory. The black flame awakens in the identity. The dark beasts have had their day, and the other animals go through the preparation. The door is open to free the Azoth and mark it with a causal energy. May we ever gain gnosis of transcendency. We are the Nixions. For by male, child, female, and elder energy, it is feeding you and me. Like a dark mother, it has cured me of the fluffy. Outside the mundane agenda, I will use the liberal means and the conservative society. Out from abstraction, I will build a mentality that is not clay-born by adversity. By strength and intention, we ascend physically, mentally, and spiritually, letting go of all that has been forced on you and me. Then will enemies have been decided mutually. Then will we have worked past insecurity. Enemies are decided mutually, then we will have worked past insecurity. And so the verses involved, let's go with that. Genesis 18:18. Seeing that Abraham shall surely become a great and mighty nation, and all the nations of the earth shall be blessed in him. Oh, I mean 8 of 18. And he took butter and milk, and the calf which he had dressed, and set it before them, and he stood by them under the tree, and they did eat. Exodus 23:19. The first of the firstfruits of thy land thou shalt bring into the house of the Lord thy God. Thou shalt not see the kid in his mother's milk. And see, that's not saying that you can't have things of meat and milk together, and Lord is a mistranslation, but we go over that elsewhere. Joshua 5:6. For the children of Israel walked 40 years in the wilderness, till all the people that were men of war which came out of Egypt were consumed, because they obeyed not the voice of the Lord, unto whom the Lord sware that he would not show them the land which the Lord sware unto their fathers, that he would give us a land that flowed with milk and honey. And of course, children of Israel doesn't mean the same thing as it does today. Lord is, in each of those three instances, I'm sure, is the tetragrammaton, which is increasing existence and doesn't really translate as Lord at all. Judges 5:25. He asked water, and she gave him milk. She brought forth butter in a lordly dish. Remember, the Semites were people who could really handle their dairy, so it doesn't mean the same thing as it would for a person like me. Job 10:10. Hast thou not poured me out as milk, and curdled me like cheese? You see that sort of language use in some of the later Sufi poems about being cooked and all that. 21:24. His breasts are full of milk, and his bones are moistened with marrow. Well, that's, one of the bad sides about that, but, there are certain drugs that can do that to people. Proverbs 30:33. Surely the churning of milk bringeth forth butter, and the wringing of the nose bringeth forth blood, so the forcing of wrath bringeth forth strife. Song of Solomon 4:11. Thy lips, O my spouse, drop as the honeycomb. Honey and milk are under thy tongue, and the smell of thy garments is like the smell of Lebanon. Well, fresh milk, one would hope. 5:12. His eyes are as the eyes of doves, by the rivers of waters, washed with milk and fitly set. Isaiah 60:16. Thou shalt also suck the milk of the Gentiles, and shalt suck the breast of kings, and thou shalt know that I, the Lord, am thy Savior, and thy Redeemer, the mighty one of Jacob. And, well, it takes it outside of the tribe thing, obviously, but Gentile is not a term that really refers to ancestry. It refers to those who have turned their back on God. You have words like that about polytheist, worshiper of other than God, Gawim. yeah, it's not quite the same thing as non-Jew, because if that's what one is thinking. Joel 3:18. And it shall come to pass in that day that the mountains shall drop down new wine, and the hills shall flow with milk, and all the rivers of Judah shall flow with waters, and a fountain shall come forth of the house of the Lord, and shall water the valley of Shittim. And remember, of course, that this word for Lord being a mistranslation of establishing. 1 Corinthians 3:2. I have fed you with milk, and not with meat, for hitherto ye were not able to bear it, neither yet now are ye able. Well, if you fill up on milk, that can keep you from eating other food, right? 9:7. Who goeth a warfare any time at his own charges? Who planteth a vineyard, and eateth not of the fruit thereof? Or who feedeth the flock, and eateth not of the milk of the flock? Hebrews 5:12. For when the time ye ought to be teachers, ye have need that one teach you again, which be the first principles of the oracles of God, and are become such as have need of milk, and not of strong meat. And verse 13, for every one that useth milk is unskillful in the word of righteousness, for he is a babe. 1 Peter 2:2. As newborn babes desire the sincere milk of the word, that ye may grow thereby. Are they saying it's infantile spirituality? Well, I mean, however you want to take that, right? 47:15. This is the parable of the garden which was promised the ones who are God-fearing, well, having regard. In it are rivers of unpolluted water, and rivers of milk, the taste of which is not modified, and rivers of intoxicants, delightful to ones who drink, and rivers of clarified honey, and in it for them all kinds of fruits, and forgiveness from their Lord. Is this like ones who will dwell forever in the fire? And they were given scalding water to drink, so that it cuts off their bowels. Oh, scorches their bowels. But, so, the pleasantness of intoxicant, but without the covering of the consciousness, you could say, or the 46:15. And we charge the human being with kindness to ones who are his parents. His mother carried him painfully, and she painfully bore him through. And the bearing of him and the weaning of him are 30 months. And when he was fully grown, having come of age and reached 40 years, he said, My Lord, raise me up that I may give thanks for thy divine blessing, that with which thou wert gracious to me, and to ones who are my parents, and that I do as one in accord with morality, so that thou be well pleased, and make things right for me and my offspring. Truly I repented to thee, and truly I am one of the ones who submit to God. Now, see, it's not the morality that society has decided, it's the true spiritual reality. And it's not what you decided either, merely 31:14. And we charge the human being about ones who are his parents. His mother carried him in feebleness on feebleness, and his weaning is in 2 years. Give thanks to me and to ones who are thy parents, and to me is the homecoming. 16:16. And landmarks, and they are truly guided by the stars. 66, sorry. And truly for you in the flocks is a lesson. We satiate you from what is in their bellies between waste and blood, exclusively milk, that which is delicious to the ones who drink. 4:23, your mothers were forbidden to you and your daughters and your sisters and your paternal and maternal aunts and daughters of your brothers and daughters of your sisters and your foster mothers, those who breastfed you and your sisters through fosterage and your mothers of your wives and your stepdaughters, those who are in your care from wives, those with whom you have lain, but if you have not yet lain with them, then there is no blame in you, and wives of your sons who are of your loins, and that you should not gather two sisters together unless it be from the past. Truly God has been forgiving, compassionate. So, standing against that whole next of kin marriage stuff. And regarding the breastfeeding related relationships, Surah 2, 223 to 233. I don't know why there's not much in this. I'm not sure I'm going to be able to finish this, but, rights of women and all that, 223 to 233. Your wives are a place of cultivation for you, so approach your cultivation wherever you willed, and put forward for yourselves, and be God-fearing of God, and know, having regard, and you would, and that you will be one who encourages him, and give thou good tidings to ones who believe, and make God not an obstacle with your sworn oaths to your being good, and being God regarding, and making things right among humanity, and God is hearing, knowing. Now, if it doesn't have the word God next to it, basically it's hedonism, regarding the consequences. So having regard, God is hearing, knowing. God will not take you to task for idle talk and your sworn oaths. Rather, he will take you to task for what is in your hearts earned, and God is forgiving, forbearing. For those who vow abstinence from their wives, wait 4 months. Then if they change their minds, then truly God is forgiving, compassionate. And if they resolved on setting them free, then truly God is hearing, knowing. And the women who were divorced will wait by themselves 3 menstrual periods, and it is not lawful for them that they keep back what God has created in their wombs. And if they have been believing in God in the last day, their husbands have better right to come back during that period if they wanted to make things right. For the rights of them in regard to their husbands is the like of the rights of their husbands in regard to them, as one honorable, and men have a degree over them, and God is almighty wise. Setting free is 2 times, then hold fast to them one who is honorable, or setting them free with kindness, and it is not lawful for you that you take anything of what you gave them, unless they both fear that they will both not be able to perform the ordinances of God. And if you feared that they both will not perform the ordinances of God, then there is no blame on either of them in what she offered as redemption for that. These are the ordinances of God, so exceed not the limits, and whoever violates